If sleep is for the weak, you know where I'll be. Tangled in my head, replaying memories. Close my eyes and pray for some kind of clarity. A dream in black and white, it's all that I see. I can feel it in my bones when I see your face. It's the cruelest kind of dream, driving me insane. Your sleep is for the weak. You know I'll be. There is nothing that takes the pain away. Just darkness that covers everything. I'm losing my grip on reality. And you never loved me anyway. I cannot live here in yesterday. If rest is for the dead, you know where I'll be. 6 feet in the dead, right where you want me. Your sleep is for the weak. You know I'll be. There is nothing that takes the pain away. Just darkness that covers everything. I'm losing my grip on reality. And you never loved me anyway. I cannot live here in yesterday. I see you in my sleep, but you always lie. I need you gone for good, take the pain away. I see you in my sleep, but you always lie. I need you gone for good, take the pain away. Sleep is for the take the pain away. There is nothing that takes the pain away. Just darkness that covers everything. I'm losing my grip on reality. And you never loved me anyway. I cannot live here in yesterday. You deceive myself away. There's nothing that takes the pain away. Take the pain away.
Hi guys. Hi, we need some music. We need some music. And that's a little loud. There we go. Hi guys. Hi. I'm gonna say hi to everyone. Samuel, welcome and thank you for redeeming first. Alig, I love your face. Alig, how are you? 48%. That's not what you want. It's not what you want. Snazzy Jazzy, welcome in. How are you? 39%. That's respectable. That's respectable. Shady. Hi, Shady. 47%. You know, not bad. Not bad. These are some solid numbers. They're solid numbers. Mo says hi to everyone. Yes, you do. Hi, baby. Go lay down. Go lay down behind me on your little bed. Yeah, low PP power. It'll bump up. It'll bump up. 59%. That's really not what you want, A-League. That's really not what you want. 75%. Respectable, Shady. Respectable. 8%. Oh shit. So close. So close. You'll get your 0%. You'll get it. Hi Mo. Yeah, Mo is here. Mo is here. He's making his presence known. Baby, you're setting off the barking alarm. Every single time you bark, every time you go boof, I get a little notification that says your dog is barking. Tap to see what's going on. He's looking away from me. He's like, Mom, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Hey, teach, how was school? School was a fucking, it was a day. It was a day. I hope you've had a good day. It was something. Um, I'm never getting my 0. Watch, I get 84% right now just to prove the point. 63. Yeah, ballpark guess. Ballpark guess. No, it was a fucking day. Like, I woke up and I was like, today's just not gonna be a good day. Like, I have a feeling today's not gonna be a good day. So my second grade class was fine. Like, they weren't anything out of the ordinary. My kindergartners were fucking wild. Wild. Um, Literally like screeching, and I had to separate 2 kids because one boy took one of the girls' artwork because he wanted to see it, like snatched it right out of her hands, and she was trying to get it back. So they were fucking playing like duck, duck, goose around my table. So I had to separate them 2, and he sat by himself because he instigated it. And it was just, kindergarten was draining. First grade, they decided they wanted to try to have recess in my class by yelling, screaming, not sitting down in their chairs. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll tell your teacher that you already had recess, and yeah, you had recess in my class, so you don't need to have another one. And I did, and she was like, oh, is that what we decided? My group, y'all ain't having recess today. And I was like, I warned y'all. I warned you, if you act up in my class, I was going to tell your teacher, and you knew what was going to happen. So you can't be mad. 5th grade was all right. 5th grade didn't, they're usually okay. Like, I like my 5th graders. I haven't had a bad 5th grade class yet. And then I had a big break. My big break is between my 5th grade and 7th grade classes. So I had like 2 hours to kind of decompress from, oh wait, no, 3rd grade. I'm forgetting 3rd grade. 3rd grade was fucking wild. One of my 3rd graders decided to tell another 3rd grader that he needs cancer. No, I did not stutter. Said he needs cancer. So I'm just like, what warranted that? And the wild part, like, that's not even the wild part. The wild part is that she came up to me and she goes, Miss Annie, these 2 are going to tell you that I said something, but I want to tell you that I said it before they tell you that I said it. And I apologize. I didn't mean it. I said it, and I didn't mean the words I said, and I apologized to him. And I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. And I was like, okay, well, like, usually my course of action with like this younger kids, because sometimes they don't realize the severity of what they say. It's like you apologize, we talk it out, we have a heart to heart as to why you cannot say those things and why it's inappropriate to say. Like, I had a 1st grader right before Christmas break tell 3 kids that he hopes they die. So like, I had to tell him, like, okay, what if this was the last time that you ever saw them? What if they actually did, and this is the last words that you said to them? You're gonna feel guilty. You're gonna feel like you caused it, and like, this is not okay. This isn't what you can say. So like, usually we have a conversation about like why it's inappropriate to say certain things in school and certain things to certain people. So I was like, okay, well, you apologized. You owned up to it. And you're taking accountability for your actions. Like, no harm, no foul. If you apologize and you attempted to make it right, like, you did what you can. So we still had a conversation about why that was inappropriate to say. So then the 2 students go and they sit down. That they were going to tell me what was said. So I was like, all right, well, I guess it's not that big of a deal. Like, I guess he's fine. If he's sitting down, she's sitting down, like, we're all quiet back to work. I'm going to go back to helping my students do their project. So the end of class comes around, And I was like, okay, well, let's start packing up. And she comes up to me again and like starts talking about what she had said. And I was like, hey, we already like put it to rest. Like, you said what you said. You apologized. She's like, I know, but he's still really upset about it. So I was like, all right, let me go talk to him. All right, let me go talk to him. Let me see what's going on. So I crouched down to his level and I'm like, are you okay? And he shakes his head no. And I'm like, all right. Um, she owned up to it. She's apologized. She's trying to make it right. Is there anything that I can do on my end to like help this situation be better? And he shakes his head no. And I'm like, okay. Well, do you want to go to the Peace Corner and kind of just chill out? So the Peace Corner, like I have this big inflatable chair in my room. It looks like a beanbag chair. And then I have like stuffed animals. I have a glitter bottle that kids can shake. I have little like poppets, like the silicone pop thingies. Um, I have things that kids can use to calm themselves down if they're feeling like amped up energy. So I offered that to him and I was like, we could go over there, we could sit down. Um, but then she starts panicking because she's like, are you gonna tell my teacher? And I was like, well, I'm absolutely gonna tell your teacher because he needs a report of what happened in class today, in case later on, there's another situation that arises that you two start bickering over what was said in my class. Like, he needs to be aware. So yes, I am going to tell him. And she goes, well, can I tell him? And I was like, well, sure. I mean, if you want to own up to your actions and tell him, by all means, I will allow you to do that. So she did. And then she has full blown meltdown. Like, I'm talking about cannot catch her breath, like sobbing that hard. And I'm like, okay, child, like, you're not going to get in trouble any further than this. You owned up to your actions. Like, we are very much a school that believes in, giving those that deserve a second chance a second chance. So, like, you're fine. You're not going to get in trouble. We're not going to, like, write you up. We're not going to suspend you. We're probably not even going to call your parents because you owned up to your mistake and you realized what you did was wrong. So it was a whole fucking, like, ordeal, and that just drained me of all energy. Thankfully, the rest of the day was pretty chill. My 7th grade was chill for once, which was surprising. They sat down, they did work. I think partially because I'm following through on a deal that I made with them. I told them that if they gave me 2 solid weeks of positive behavior, they sat down, they did my work, they got their project done, I would give in and give them what they wanted, which is to paint ceiling tiles in the school. So we're doing that, and they got started on that today. So thankfully, like, my 7th and 8th graders, they usually calm me down. Like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they usually bring me down at the end of the day, which is fantastic. Let me catch up on chat because I just did a whole lot of talking. It's the amazing, inspiring, wonderful Annie. Samuel, you're so sweet. Yay, class recess. Oh, it was awful. Awful. That child needs a good whooping. Okay, retractor, she owned up and realized what she did was wrong. Kind of like yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, she's, for the most part, she's a good kid. Um, she just doesn't make the smartest choices sometimes. And yeah. Sequata, welcome in. How are you? Do you need bells? I'm probably going to. I'm restarting my island today. I haven't played Animal Crossing in like 4 months. So I'm restarting my island. I want certain villagers, and I don't like any of the villagers on my island right now. I really don't. I don't care for them. I have no connection to them whatsoever. I want Goose back. I want Goose. I want Sprinkle. I want God, what was the wolf's name? The pretty blue wolf. I want her back. Um I want all my old villagers back. I can help you with bells, okay? Oh, Sequata, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really do. Sprinkle is so freaking adorable. I know. I love Sprinkle. I love Sprinkle so much. Buttspot, please listen. I'm gonna need you to rein it in. I can help you with butts. Do you need butts? Buttspot, please. Let me know when your gate is off, okay? Yes, I will definitely let you know. I will definitely let you know. Also we need Nate on our island, best bear. Also we need Nate on our island, best, but okay, I feel like I need to screenshot that and send that to Third Night, because one, I love that man. Um but also that's fucking hilarious. Um I'm just, we're just gonna do this real quick. We're gonna do this. Boop. Okay, there we go. No, I don't like how that screenshot looks. We're gonna try that again. We're gonna try that again. We're gonna do this. There we go. That's what you want. That's what you want. All right, and saved. Beautiful. Beautiful. I needed that. Smokey, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing good. I love your face. Buttspot is off its meds. Buttspot is 110% off its meds. Like, Buttspot is on some other shit today. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Buttspot. Buttspot is just going after everyone. Fantastic news. We just hit 1,100 followers today. We hit 1,100 officially today, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Thank you guys. I love your faces. Y'all are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. Everyone that's in here, beautiful. Congrats. Thank you, Quang. Thank you, thank you. I would love to hit like 2K by the end of the year. I think that would be really cool. Um, and that gives me plenty of time to do it, especially like over the summer where I could do longer streams and, get to meet more people. That would be pretty fucking dope. Um, I have announcements. I know I do. Oh, Saturday, Cozy Stardew stream with the one and only Demon Fighters. I cannot wait. I need to figure out what time we're doing it. I need, matter of fact, let me DM him. Before I always fucking forget. Like, where the fuck is Fighters? Where is Fighters? There we go. Did we ever say what time? No, we never did. Let me do this. Okay, there we go. Okay, I just DM'd him. That way I can get my shit together. 1,100 followers. You say let's fucking go. Yeah, Smokey, we hit it today. We hit 1,100 followers today. So yeah, Saturday we're having a comfy cozy crowd control Stardew stream. If you've never done crowd control before, crowd control, you control what the fuck happens in game. Like, you can get, I forget how they do their little like transaction system. But I don't know if it's like by bits or if you have to like actually buy coins or whatever. But essentially, like, you can, I don't know what it, let me see what it's like for Stardew Valley. Because I'm actually kind of curious myself, all of the things that y'all could do to me in game. Let's see. Crowd control Stardew Valley. What is this? Okay, I have all that shit. Cool. What's the list of things I could do? No, you're just not gonna tell me what I can do? Hello? Last time I was in a crowd control stream, you bought coins with channel points that you spend to affect things. Beautiful! Beautiful. That's, yeah, that's what you could do. I'm trying to figure out, like, where's the list of things that you can do? Because there's, like, a whole bunch of shit that you can wind up doing. The time of your life. Ooh, GitHub? Is that where it's gonna tell me what you can do? No? Yes? No? No? Oh, okay, okay. So, here we go. I found the list. So, you can upgrade or downgrade my equipment if you wanted. We quite enjoyed dropping cuckoo swarms on someone playing OOT. Did I okay, last time I was in a crowd control stream, it was also OOT. And I would like make Link big, make Link tiny, freeze Link. I would do all types of shit like that. Okay, so you can do upgrade, downgrade equipments. You could upgrade my backpack. You could downgrade my backpack. You could add or remove items. You could probably do, let's see, you could increase my energy. You could even make me pass out. You can hurt my health. Like, you can either heal or hurt me, or you can fully heal or fully kill me. You can give me money or remove money. You could spawn monsters. You can add status effects. So, like, I could do nauseous, I could do tipsy, slimed. You can upgrade my tools. You can warp me to different areas of the game. So like if you want me to go to the beach or the tower or the railroad. So that's a bunch of cool shit that y'all will be able to do with crowd control. Um and like Quang said, you can buy coins with channel points. So that'll be a fun thing that you guys get to do. A little more interactive. Um, what else? Also, tonight I will be putting up the charity incentives channel in the Discord. If you were here last stream, I talked about how I was partnering up with Soft Giving and Hope for the Day. And we're going to be doing a charity stream on February 12th. It's probably going to be a 12-hour because I didn't do a 12-hour for the last charity stream. Um, yeah. So you guys get to pick my incentives. Um, it could be almost whatever. Like I will approve or deny which ones that I feel like doing it, but y'all can put whatever suggestions you want in there. The only thing that I ask is that we don't alter my appearance just because like the school has some strict rules on appearance. You can't look like a disheveled mess, so things like dyeing my hair are out of the option, um unless it's like dyeing my hair to a natural hair color like blonde, black, brown, red. um those would be the only things that like I'd be okay with. um let's see, so I'm gonna put that up tonight in the Discord so y'all can go ahead and put your suggestions in there. Um whatever you guys want to see as my charity incentive milestones. Um those are the two like secured things that I have dates for. I have a couple of things that are not scheduled yet but are in the works. Um so yeah, that's the major announcements as of right now. I'm hoping that I'll be able to regularly put out YouTube content starting next week. I have my Devil May Cry first playthrough or first part edited down. I just have to upload it and put a thumbnail up there. I'm working on a Stardew Valley series. I am working on my game theories. Um, and then just old VODs that I want to edit down. I'm also going to be making a channel that I just dump all my VODs into so I can keep them. That was something that I wanted to start last year, but I didn't really get to do. So that's just something. It's more of an archive for me. The main one's just gonna be like my main YouTube channel. So that's gonna be something I'm gonna try to do. So how do we feel about hopping into some Animal Crossing? I'm feeling kind of like Uckies today, and I just kind of want to vibe. I feel like that's the move. I feel like that's the move. Um, I'm gonna turn on like lo-fi music. Um, I'm gonna turn on some pretty lo-fi. Ooh, nope. You know what? We vibing out to some Studio Ghibli. That's what we doing. Let's get tropical, baby. Yes. Where? Why are you yelling at me? Why are you yelling at me? Go lay down. I am not in the mood for your shenanigans right now. All right. So we're gonna, we're gonna do this because I want to make this a little bit louder. Okay. Yeah, let's fucking go. Checking if the software can be played. You better fucking, you know what? What are we archiving? Oh yeah, we can fucking archive that. Yee. I'm just gonna turn this, completely off because I don't want to listen to the Animal Crossing music. Let's get tropical, comfy, cozy as always went. Yeah, I'm like honestly, I didn't even want to do my makeup. Like I just put on like foundation and I did my eyebrows. Yeah. It's been a fucking day. I'm exhausted. I will say though, I am like a little excited. Um, because I get my new batch of kiddos um in a week and a half. Like my whole schedule changes up, so I will have um a new schedule. Give me 1 second. My husband just texted me about some like important family stuff, so bear with me while I respond to him. Okay. We've had a family member in the hospital. Like we're not a close family member. Um like Ryan was never really close to him. Um but his mom was and they just got news that he passed away. So he was just letting me know we're okay. Don't anybody like freak out. We're fine. Like I said, Ryan was not super close to him. And I never met him, so I had just like chatted with him on the phone. So, yeah. Um okay. So, you know what, Tom Nook, look, I know I am a big child. Um fuck, is it this? Yes. Um oh shit, nope, that's not what I want to do. I understand. Okay, fuck, how do I delete my island? I forgot. I want to start new. Do I have to go out? Hold on. Hold on. Options. Manage my software. No. No. How the fuck do I delete my island? Sorry if the family doesn't have any troubles with the arrangements or anything. Luckily, they're I don't think they'll have any issue with arrangements. I'm just more so like that kind of sucks for the family that was there. Let me Google search how I delete my fucking island. Cause I just, I have no idea. How do you delete Animal Crossing Island? There we go. Okay. I need to do it in here. I need to do it here. System settings, data management. This would be delete save data. There we go. All right. Delete all data for this. Yes, delete my island. We're starting fresh. We're starting fresh. There probably is some combo Quang. I don't know. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. We's gonna start a new island. I'm so excited. I actually enjoy Animal Crossing like a lot. I'm hoping the villagers that I get aren't ridiculous. Like as long as I don't get fucking Agnes, okay? Nobody likes Agnes. And if you were here from when I used to play Animal Crossing like regularly, I fucking hated Agnes. She could eat my ass. I love Agnes. No, Agnes is terrible. Okay? Agnes was like, I guess there's not enough room on this island for the two of us. Agnes is the poop. She's a poop. She's a poop. I'm gonna custom firmware on my Switch so I can back up saves and swap between multiple islands if I want. But she didn't hear anything. Your secret's safe with me. She's so cute. No, she's not. She is too sassy for me. I don't like her. Hi, Timmy and Tommy. Yeah. We're just, yeah. Annie. Because I'm not putting my real name up here. Smell that? Smells like bacon cooking in the oven. Facts. Fucking facts. I would absolutely roast Agnes. Give me some pork chops. I'm like, I hope I get Goose. I want Goose. I am girl. If you get Diva permanent horse show right there. Oh no, I don't even know Diva. I don't want to know Diva. These are all the hairstyles I could do, right? And my hair is brown, yes. Boop. And then I has brown eyes. And then I has cute little button nose. I like that. But I don't like the hair. Can I do something different with the hair? Hold on. Oh no. Okay. I guess that's it. She's so scary. Okay, I need to look up Diva actually. Y'all about to see live reaction to what she fucking looks like. Okay. Diva Animal Crossing New Horizon. No, oh, no, not dive. Autocorrect. Fucking stop. Diva. Oh. Hello. Hi. Okay, no. Don't like that. Don't like that. Don't like that. Pork chops. You want some bacon wrapped around them? Chops with a baked potato. Oh, that sounds fucking delicious. Actually, Smokey. Bacon wrapped anything, give me. I love bacon. Like the other night, my husband, he got hungry, so he made some type of sandwich with bacon. And he cooked like the rest of the bacon that we had. So Diva Quang, Diva did say that though. For anyone that doesn't know what Diva looks like, there you go. Accurate representation. But no, so like Ryan made a sandwich with bacon in it. Um, and I just look at him, he cooked like all the bacon. Like he had like 7 strips of bacon. And I was like, "Can I have two? I just want 2 strips of bacon." He's like, "Do you want a sandwich?" I was like, "No, I just want the bacon." Um, okay, okay, hush, 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 hush. Hush, 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 hush. Do 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 do. I'm gonna bump this up a little bit. Which fucking one do I want? I'm trying to think of like aesthetically, what am I gonna have to do the least amount of work on for my island? I kind of like this one, honestly. Yeah, we're gonna go with that one. I mean, if I just like speed run to KK slider, I just get the things. If I can only bring one thing, some food. Give me food so I could survive. Give food, please. Peas and tankies. Um, do. Get me to my island. Alright. Fingers crossed that we get good fucking islanders. Uh, fingers crossed, guys. I just want to know who's on my island with me. That's all I care about. If I get Sprinkle, I'm gonna cry. Like, legitimately, I will cry. I found Sprinkle in the, expansion, and I fell in love immediately. Like, immediately. Thank you for also the little fuck it already switched. Starting over. I am starting over. Darlena Mitchell, welcome in, welcome in. How are you? I haven't played Animal Crossing in like 4 or 5 months. And I felt like all my islanders were gonna be angry with me. So I'm starting over. Um, I did have like a fully done island, and I was just like, I'm gonna redo it. But welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Let's see. Please give me good islanders. Please. I'm gonna turn up the music just a little bit more too. I'm almost done with my island. That's amazing. I was almost done with mine, and then yeah, I was just like, I'm unhinged today. I'm starting over. Let's see. Who do we have? Please give me someone good. Who are you two? Oh, who do I get? I thought people might be mad, so rather to consign them to the void. Yes. Mm-hmm. Spoken like a true fucking introvert. I didn't want to interact, so I yeeted them into oblivion. Alright, who are you guys? Paula? Paula and Sly. Please tell me y'all aren't gonna be shits. Tell me that y'all are gonna be nice. You got a bear with an 80s skater outfit and the same personality as Agnes? No! I don't want another Agnes on my island! I want to kick her off. I want to kick her off. I already don't like her. Like, she better not tell me that this island's not big enough for the two of us. Or I'm fighting. Or like we fucking throwing hands. I cannot get my music volume right for the life of me. How shall I begin? Well, Tom Nook. So, of course, welcome everyone. Welcome to your new island. My name is Tom Nook, and I'm the founder and president of Nook Inc. Yes, yes. Like, I love all of the bears in this game except Paula. I hate her look. Okay, well, if it's just her look, like, I can get over. I can get over that. All right, Mo, go lay down. Go lay down, baby. I know you're so angry because I'm not paying attention to you. Today is the first day of your new life on this pristine, lovely island. So congratulations. Stop. What is your problem? Sit. Sit. Chat. He angry. He angry. Look at this boy. Look at this boy here. He angry. He big mad. Why you big mad? Do you want me to pull your chair over here so you can sit with me? Alright, guys. I have an angry dog. I'm going to pull his chair over here so he can sit next to me and he can stop yelling. Stop! Don't yell at me! Why is it you are the way that you are? He's doing a big grump. He is. He's a big grump. Come on. A big old grumpy dog. Mo's big mad because he's like, give me attention. I know. He big mad. Why you big mad? Is this what you wanted? You just wanted... No. That's not yours. Stop it. No. He big mad. I'm my old man. Look at those beady little eyes. Look at him. He's so pitiful. Alright, I'm gonna hop back into the game. Okay. This is a package deal. As such, Nook Inc. staff will always be here to support you and ensure your comfort and safety. But first things first, yes, I'd like each of you to choose a spot of your own. It's the first step to putting down some real roots. What, baby? Don't paw at me. I'd like you to dream big. I do have certain connections in construction and real estate and... but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just get started with a simple tent, shall we? Please collect your tent from Timmy and Tommy and choose a spot to place it. Gib tent. Here you go, Annie, your very own tent. Gib. Once you find the perfect spot, press X to access your inventory, then select your tent to place it. Don't worry, you'll get a chance to see what it looks like before making the final decision. And you'll want a little breathing room, so take your time finding a space that works for you. Oh, I suppose I should probably set you up with a map, too. That would be lovely. Chat, do we want, like, waterside, like... Do we want, like, beachside? With a good view of the ocean? Off you go. Hope you find a good spot. Bye, son. Hope you find your dad. Okay, do we want, like... I have pears. Oh. Oh, it's not gonna let me. It's not gonna let me. Okay. What does the other side look like? I want, like, prime oceanfront realty spot. I'm gonna do this. So, speaking of bacon, Annie, I know a place has good, thick, and I mean thick cut bacon, and it can be shipped to you. Smoky, Smoky. Hear me out. I'm gonna need you to slide that into my DMs. Just slide that in there. Like, how thick are we talking? I'm curious who the next three will be. They have a set pattern, and just so you know, one of the first two will always be the same personality as Agnes. Oh. Ew. I'm kicking her off my fucking island. Like, that's that. No, that's... Nope, I need to rethink it. I want to put it a little down here. Can I put it right here? I'm too close to the ledge. Fuck you being too close to the ledge. Let me find the package. I'll snap a photo. Slide into your DMs. Please, Smokey. Like, please. Alright, let me imagine it. Do we like this? I feel like it's too close to that tree. No, I need to, like, dial it back just, like, a little bit. Build here. Let me imagine it. Let me see. Perfect. Perfect. Yes. This is where I want my tent. And if that's where either one of you two wanted your tent, fuck you. Okay, but Paula kind of cute though. Paula kind of cute. I'm Paula. I gotta tell you, I'm excited. This whole island thing. Yodelay. Yodelay. Yodelay hee hoo. Trying to just feel for the best spot, but I was having trouble because every spot feels like the best one. I couldn't just sit here thinking it over forever, so I grabbed a stick and threw it, and here's where it landed. So now this is my spot. Okay, I know there's only so far I could throw a stick, but I'm liking this. Looks good to me. Sure, just put your shit down. I could actually move it later if I want to. If I put my tent here, man, why can't my tent be cute like that? I like that color. Yeah, looks great. Just put it right here. Now on, this won't just be just anywhere on my island. It's gonna be my home sweet home. I can't believe I got such an awesome spot. You rock, Yodelay. Wonder how that Sly is doing. He might be having just as much trouble as I was. Maybe you should go see if he needs help too. She's not the worst ever. She looks way better in New Horizons than she did before. I just don't like her hair. Man, fuck your hair. Alright, where's Sly? Sly, where you be at? Making me run all over the place for you. Where did he go? Hello? Sly? Where you were just like in the same area as me. There you are. Are you trying to be antisocial, Sly? You already set up your tent, eh? I'm still trying to find the perfect spot. I'll be doing some serious cardio, so it's got to have lots of fresh air. I think this spot will do the trick, but I don't know. What do you think? Looks good to me. Just lay your tent down. I can move it later if I want to. How about we do a little visualization? Jesus, words are fucking hard. How about we do a little visualization exercise together? If I put my tent here. Pretty cool, right? Looks great. Perfect. Let me get into building stuff. Looks like we have a winner. I'm going to put down stakes right here. Never look back. Hoorah. Hoorah. Wow, it's a tough decision. You totally saved my glutes. Don't tell me you already helped out Paula out, too. You're like a true champion. I just got here, so I don't have anything ready, but I'm going to reward you for this once I'm settled in. Well, looks like it's time to sprint back to the plaza. Hoorah. Alright, Sly creeps me out with his fucking look. Like, his face creeps me out. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all found just the right spots to set up your new homes. Of course, you can sleep on it for a while. Really get a feel for how it suits you. And with that taken care of, we can move on to more serious business. Like throwing an island warming party. We'll have it right here in the plaza with a roaring campfire. We'll just need a few supplies to get started, yes? Since we'll all be living here together, this will be a good test of our teamwork. Let's see. Timmy, Paula, Tommy, and Sly can set up things here in the plaza. Meanwhile, Annie and I will work on gathering firewood and perhaps a little snack. All right, everyone, let's get to it. Annie, would you come see me for a moment? I feel like I'm being called to the principal's office. I don't like it. What do you want? Ah, Annie, I just wanted to go over what we'll need for the campfire. I think roughly 10 tree branches should do the trick. You can find them scattered about the island. So when you find one lying on the ground, press Y to pick it up. Meanwhile, I'll investigate the pear-like items growing in the trees. I suspect they're real pears. No shit, Tom Nook. I'll investigate the pear-like items. I guess they're pears. Like, I fucking can't. I can't. Any tree branches you find on the ground or shake out of the trees will work just fine for the campfire. Beautiful. Gib. I'm gonna collect the rocks too. I just want to collect everything. I'm that bitch that, like, goes and picks up everything. I also need to, like, de-weed our island. Yo, I'm vibing with this fucking music. Pick up the goddamn tree branch. Tree branch. We're gonna do more pears. Samuel, thank you for the hugs. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. Tree branches. I'm having trouble finding the package, but I could do something better. I can send you the link to get some, and reviews are 4-star and a shit ton, and I mean a shit ton of 5-star. My body is ready. My body is ready. I need some thick bacon in my life. Is that enough? Let's, oh, okay, yes. We're just gonna pick up one because I hate leaving it on an uneven, or yeah, an uneven number, an odd number. Words are hard. All right, here you go, Tom Nook. Oh, good, Annie. Looks like you've managed to collect up the tree branches. You found even more than I asked. I only need the 10, but I'm sure you'll find a good use for the rest. I'll take what we need off your hands now. Yes, yes, that should be plenty for our campfire. You made quick work of that. Quite glad that I'll be sharing this desolate island with such a hard worker. Oh-ho. Whoa. Speaking of surviving on the desolate island, next task is to round up something to snack on. While you were collecting branches, I was evaluating the fruit that seems to be abundant here. They look like pears, they smell like pears, they even taste like pears. In fact, they are 100% without a doubt genuine pears. So, will you collect 6 of them for me? Already done! What's this? You've collected enough pears for everyone, haven't you? Give me a second, my mom's calling me, so I'm gonna go on a BRB screen real quick, and I will be right back. It's locked. Okay. Why do I feel like that something's gonna fucking happen? There's no way. It's always in games you have the, like, long, like, pathway. There's gonna be, like, a fucking dragon or some shit. I'm willing to bet. Oh, I heard it. Oh, I fucking. We just getting spoopy up in here with these janky ass controls. Am I gonna find a dead? Run! Fuck! First scare of the fucking game. I hate it here.
Hey. Hi. Fuck you, alright? Oh my god. Let this be a lesson. Let this be a lesson. It's what you get when you keep screaming in my ear repeatedly.
What's this way? Probably certain death. I just assume everywhere in a fucking Souls game is certain death. Legit, I've never played a Souls game. I've seen enough people that don't trust open spaces. Facts, though. Nope. 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 No. 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 That is death. Okay. I am back. I am back. My mom just wanted to talk. She's like, I haven't heard your voice in a while. And I was like, oh, Mom, you talked to me on Saturday. Look! I feel like your resale was just yesterday. What the fuck? Hello? Lilith, I love your face. Thank you so much for these 16 months. You're fantastic. You're beautiful. I love you. I love you. How are you doing? How are you doing? Yeah, no, my mom just wanted to chat. She's like, I feel like I haven't heard your voice in a while. And I was like, Mom, we talked on Saturday. Like, you just talked to me a couple days ago. I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. Back to the game. Well, I knew you were the right one for the job. Thank you once again. I'll go ahead and take those off your hands and get started on the preparations. I blame you on this cage marathon. Ma'am, please. Please. It's okay. I'll take full blame for that. Bacon Link sent. Oh, you are fantastic. Also, me and the boyfriend have been pricing out a keyboard for you. Oh, hello? A what? Hello? A keyblade? Hello? What? Excuse me? Excuse, ma'am, explain. Explain, please. No, is that everything? Yes, yes, I believe it is. Let's get started with the festivities. I'm still here? Awesome, Sequata, awesome. I just started up the island, so I will let you know as soon as I am as soon as I open up my gates, as soon as I can open up my gates. Just like the one I sent you a picture of, just better. Hello, ma'am, excuse me. At last, allow me to properly welcome you to your new island. I've participated in many ventures and endeavors over the years, but this may be the most exciting. Tom Nook, why you look like that? Why you look angry? Helping develop a thriving new community entirely from scratch will truly test my business acumen and perhaps my skills as an outdoorsman, Now, we may not have the kind of numbers that I originally envisioned, but that just means we'll have to rise to the challenge. Just take the love, Annie. I know you love one. Ma'am, I adore you. Excuse me. Hello. I love you. I have no doubt that with hard work and perseverance, we'll shape this deserted island into... I suppose we can't call this a deserted island anymore, But what should we call it? Guys, what should we call our island? What should we call the island? I sense a great opportunity. As the first residents of this island, we should be the ones to name it. And in the spirit of democracy, we should put it to a vote. Majority rules, So take a little time to think, and when everyone is ready, I'll present your ideas. Guys, what do we name the island? It's got to be an appropriate name, or Nintendo will get angry. But what should we name it? I'm gonna lurk, just finishing off Fantasy Story. Boyfriend did Aquaman already, and I did Sarah. Let's go! Enjoy the lurk, Lilith. Thank you, thank you. Hello? Hello? Is that my love, Shelly? Shelly! Hello? Ma'am? Y'all go follow Shelly.
Send your suggestions over to Sir Only Downs on
Go
Twitter.
follow Shelly.
Whenever he goes live, he calms all the gremlins and deviants in his chat because we're a horny bunch.
Hi
He calms
Slamma.
us all in chat at the end of
Y'all
stream
go follow
with a
Shelly. Shelly is the love of
really
my life.
cute
I adore her
kids
so much. She is a
book.
comfy
And
cozy
he
streamer,
is the
and
best dad
she is
around.
fantastic.
And his son
It is one of my
fucking
new favorite
adorable.
spaces to hang out in.
And his partner, Lady Only Downs, Emmy,
Go hang out with
is
her.
the most
Go
supportive
do it.
queen
You will not
out
regret
there.
it. Shelly, how was your stream? How was Moonlighter?
She
I was lurking
is
in
gonna
there,
make
and
the
I adore
absolute
you.
best stepmom one day.
I love you.
Absolute best.
Thank you so much for the raid. Raiders, welcome in, welcome in. If this is your first time to my channel, my name is Animagus Arts. You guys could call me Annie for short. I'm a variety streamer. I do a whole bunch of shit. Like, I was feeling ucky today, so I wanted to vibe and do comfy cozy stuff in Animal Crossing. We're restarting our island because I haven't played Animal Crossing in like 5 months, and I didn't want to interact with all of the sassy villagers, so I yeeted my entire island into oblivion, and I said, fucking bet. So we just started over. Restarted because Annie is crazy. Yes, I am certifiably crazy. I love Kingdom Hearts. I love Final Fantasy. I love Legend of Zelda. I love all manner of RPGs. Right now we are playing through a Kingdom Hearts challenge. We're playing through Devil May Cry for the first time. We're playing through God of War for the first time, and we do Final Fantasy 14 on Mondays, where we play with peoples in the community, and you guys are more than welcome to hang out. I'm gonna say hi to everybody. Slamma, welcome in. How are you? I love your face. I adore you. I was lurking in Hollow Knight. I hope Hollow Knight's treating you good. I hope it's treating you good. I love that game. Megan! Hi, Megan. Welcome in. Welcome in. Reader babe. Hello. How are you? How are you? I saw Animal Crossing plus you and I ran. Shelly, I appreciate you. I love your face. I restarted mine recently and I didn't get too far. Yeah, that's me. It's me. I go make food and then I run back. Yes, go make food. Go do post-stream care. Shelly Raiders, if you guys also have to do post-stream care. You guys just got done watching Shelly. Go do what you gotta do. We'll be here vibing for a little bit. And just kind of hanging. Do you have a fave villager? Yes. I do. I absolutely do. And I will show you guys my favorite villager because I love him. And I will find him and I will invite him to my island. Please show. Yes, I will. I will show. I will show. I need a window capture. I need a window capture. This lovely being here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Stop that. This Sprinkle. I need Sprinkle on my island. Like, just look at him. Look at him. He's so cute. I said he. She's so cute. I need to get my shit together. But look at her. Look at her. She's adorable and I love her so much. I need her on my... I fell in love with her with the expansion. And I just... Look. My favorite. She's my favorite. I need her in my life. Wait, campsite invitation requirements? Hold on. What is this? Oh, okay. This fine. Okay, yeah, so Sprinkle. That's my favorite one. She my favorite. Arashi, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Okay, please show Habs good food. Yes, go enjoy foods. Sprinkle is so cute. Sprinkle is cute. Sprinkle's adorable. Very nice sweater. Very, very nice sweater. Very, very cute. She's a pop star. She is a pop star. Name the island Pee Pee Poo Poo Land. I don't know if can I fit all of that in there? I don't know if I could fit that in. Name the island Pee Pee Poo Poo Butt Spot. Please. Butt Spot has been on one today, guys. Butt Spot has been on one. Samuel, thank you for giving Shelly a follow. You'll enjoy it over there. You'll absolutely enjoy it. Nate is mine. They look so cute together. I always make them neighbors. Wait, who's Nate? Wait a second. Nate? Who is Nate? His eyebrows, though. Okay, wait. But his eyebrows. Can we talk about them? Can we talk about him? Like, fucking ad, get out of here. Like, look at those eyebrows. I cannot. Oh my god. Okay, he's adorable. Hims is cute. What's his personality like? As a lazy villager, Nate will be friendly and easy to get along with due to his laid-back lifestyle. Has a love for food and relaxing. You know what, Nate? Same. I love his frown. I know. He's so cute. MQ, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing good. I adore your face. Paradise Cope? Yes, Paradise Cope. That expansion. My fave villager is Scoot. Who's Scoot? Wait. Who's Scoot? Scoot? He's a duck? Oh my god. Wait. He looks so angry. I love him. Listen, Mo. Okay, Mo, you were the cutest villager in my life, okay? Okay, I have the true cutest villager right here. The true cutest villager. Hims right here. He takes all of my monies and all of my time. For those of you that haven't met him, this is Mo. This is Mo. Why are you acting camera shy now? You always want to be in the camera and you always yell at people. Now you're acting camera shy. What is up, buddy, huh? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling okay? This is the cutest villager. Yes. Why are you staring intently out the door? He creeps me out when he does that. He'll, like, his ears will perk up. They'll perk up like this. And then he'll just stare off into the distance. Yes, I'm talking about you. He's a mess. A whole mess. Okay, we're gonna go back here. Scoot is adorable. I love Scoot. I'm in love with him. I want to find him. Okay, speedrunner extraordinary Annie. Hope you're doing well today. I'm feeling a little uckies today, MQ, but I will be okay. Work was just a bit much today. Mo, you can't mess with my water bottle. There's nothing in there. Okay, because I'm a terrible person and I don't drink water. Okay. Thoughts about naming the island Zen Paradise? Ooh, I like Zen Paradise. Lazy villagers are some of my faves. My whole island was lazy. Oh my god. Okay, no, wait. Best lazy villager ever. Boomer. Look at him! Look at him! Stop. Go away, ad. You were messing up with the looking at Boomer. It's just, oh, I love him. He was on my first island. Him and Goose. Him and Goose were on my first island. And I love them both. Like, he's just, look at him. Look. Him's is cute. They're just, you know, like, Animal Crossing villagers are on one end of the spectrum or the other. They're either, like, so adorable or they're so terrifying. It's not even funny. But I just, you know, I love them. I love them. They're ridiculous and I love it. He runs around playing airplane and talks about making friends with bugs. Oh my god. Frequency. Zoom, excited for your birthday coming out. I know, guys, it's almost Megan's birthday. If I remember correctly, Megan shares a birthday with my brother, which is really cool. I love his blushy cheeks, his little helmet. I know, he's so cute. He's so cute. I love Boomer. I know. Boomer is best boy. There's way too many adorable villagers. I know. Like, they're all adorable. I'm gonna go with Smokey's suggestion, and we're gonna name it Zen Paradise. Because I need some zen in my life right now. Hello? Paradise. I promise I can spell. I am a school teacher. What? Why do you give me that many? Why do you give me that much freaking... No! Okay. Well, Paradise. Can we name it Island? Zen Island? Is that gonna fit? Or are we gonna be like one off? Bet. Frobert is literally a dart frog with buck teeth. Like, how do these designs manage to become consistently squeak? I don't know, but they're so cute. Timtown? Timmy, get out of here. Timmy, get out. Get out of here. What splendid variety. Yes, each one a potential gem. Now for the voting. I'll say each name in order, and then you can clap for the one you think is the best. Listen, I know all Zen Island is the one. So Annie suggested Zen Island. Clappies. It's an overwhelmingly positive response. Each and every one of you clapped. Suppose if everyone is in agreement, we could just go with Zen Island. Bet. I am here for this. This makes my life easy. Wait, I wonder if I named, since I put island in it, is it going to be Zen Island? Because I swear that's going to be comical. Since you've proven yourself by naming Zen Island, I like to rely on you for other critical decisions we'll need to make on this island. Yes, yes, I hereby name you the resident representative. Annie, could you please say a word or two as a new spokesperson for your neighbors? I don't want to. I'm going to be sarcastic. A word or two. A word or two. I said a word or two. So we've settled on a name for our island. We've selected our resident representative. It's been a big day, but it's gotten rather late, so let's have a toast. To Zen Island Island. Everyone have a beverage in hand. It's fresh juice made from pears, our new resident representative harvested on this very island. And without further ado, a toast to Zen Island and the happiness of its residents. Cheers! You know what? I think I might make like a strawberry matcha like latte after stream. I feel like that sounds great. Annie, having a good time, yes? I know this is all a bit much, so if you feel like taking a short nap in your tent, then by all means go ahead. We'll keep the fire burning. Yeah, I think I'll go do that. Sounds good to me, but first you'll probably want this. Gib bed, please. It's your very own camping cot. You'll want to set it up in your tent before you lie down. Oh, and there are a few packages waiting in your tent as well. Just a few items that might be useful. To open packages and use the things inside, press A. When you're ready, you can move L to crawl into bed. Food is in. Ooh, Shelly, what did we get? What do we have for noms? What do we have for noms? We've got another big day ahead of us tomorrow, so rest up as much as you can tonight. Yes, that's all from me for now. Sweet dreams. Pizza? I almost ordered pizza tonight. I really thought about ordering pizza, but then I saw a recipe on Facebook for tomato soup, and I was like, gib. So I made homemade tomato soup. And grilled cheese. You can't have, like, tomato soup without grilled cheese. So we got a little radio, and then a little lamp. Wait, no, shit. Place item. There we go. No, I wanted to pick up the boombox. Yeah, just open your Snap. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I love cooking. Like, cooking makes me happy. Oh, that cot is cute, and it kind of matches. Look, Nami, you did such a good job. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you. I beg to differ. There's plenty of fucking room. Okay. Then we'll just move that right there. Can we actually, like, do that? There we go. Boop. Take a nap. I'm getting sleepy. Yeah, with the tomato soup, I noticed I put peppers in it, like actual peppers, like red, orange, and yellow peppers, and I used a little bit too many peppers, a little bit too many, so I gotta like half it next time. But it was still pretty good. It's like you've decided to make your own way into this world, get out there, explore new frontiers. That's all the right way, Daddy-o. You don't need to live by anyone's rules but your own. The world was made for exploring, you know? Living free, being out there, it's a great feeling. Yeah, but take it from a cat who's been on the road. Being by your lonesome can grind on the soul. You gotta make friends along the way. Rambling this crazy world is Squaresville without some pals. Yeah, man, friends are where it's at. Speaking of rambling, I'm doing a bit of that myself, my bad. Maybe it's about time for you to wake up to your new life. Oh, but listen up. That rap I just gave about friends, it's pretty key. You'll dig this island life a whole lot more if you share it with some friends, if that's your scene. Yeah, an island paradise with your best pals sounds pretty groovy to me. Cool. When you wake up, you'll be in sync with real time. Dig that island life, and I'll catch you later. Oh, this song. Oh my god. Okay, I love Studio Ghibli. And my in-laws, they got me this music box, a Howl's Moving Castle music box. And like I need y'all to listen to this. Like this releases so much serotonin in my brain. I hope that you guys will get to hear this. I'm gonna put this like really up close to my mic. So I'm gonna apologize if it's a little loud, but I'm gonna go quiet now and I'm just gonna play the music box for you. I love it. I love it so much. This is one of my favorite gifts. I love this so much. It stays right over here. Noise canceling, silence it, maybe move it back a bit. Okay. I'll do it at the end of stream again. And I'll like turn up my little like sensitivity and shit. Cosmic! Hi, I love your face, Cosmic. How are you? I hope you're doing good. I adore you. Hi. What I heard was pretty. Yeah, it's one of like the little music boxes that you have to like wind yourself. It's one of these little pretty ones. So, I'm new here and shit. Yeah, new here. First time here. You just already have a sword. Annie, are you in there? Oh, I hope I haven't woken you abruptly. Ah, but I do wish to discuss something with you. Yes, I'll be here when you're ready. Okay. Shelly, I see you. With the hi, I'm new here. Alright, what you got for me, Tom? I was old when this stream was young, or whatever Tom Bombadil told Merry, Pippin, Frodo, and Sam. Oh my god, I love you. I love you, Cosmic. Ah, there you are. I hope you had a pleasant nap. Or, well, I suppose it was a bit more than a nap, wasn't it? It's a brand new day. I slept that long? Fuck. Oh, yes, it's quite normal to be worn out from such a long trip and a major life event. Speaking of which, I have a few more things that you might find useful as you adjust to life in our little paradise. First, you'll need one of these, yes? Give me Nook phone. It's your very own Nook phone. I had these made especially for island residents. Ah, I want to make sure it's working right, so could you try turning it on for me? Bet. I got you, Tom Nook. Look at all those apps. Good. Looks like you're getting good reception as well. Okay, feel free to put it away. Say, Annie, have you ever used a smartphone before? Sure have. Very good, then this should be a breeze for you. In fact, these Nook phones are rather easier to operate than ordinary phones. Oh yes, we simply remove most of the features. Ah, yes. There's also a very useful app that contains advice for living here. My Lord of the Rings fandom gave me a little chance to shine the other day. Someone asked who would win between Sauron from Lord of the Rings and Night King from Game of Thrones. Answer that question after laughing uproariously at how bad of a mismatch it really is. Not gonna lie, like, it made me think for a second, like, who would actually win? But, yeah, Sauron's a badass. Spoilers, Sauron by anything he wants, literally. Like, Night King got beaten by an 11-year-old girl. Well, she wasn't 11 she was more like 14 or 15, I think. But still, like, he got beaten by a teenager. Sauron, it took him how many fucking people to be beaten? How many? It's called Island Life 101, and it is a message delivery service of sorts. Feel like giving it a try? What if I say I don't need it? Can I just say I don't need it? Oh my, you're quite certain? But I suppose figuring out your own way around new surroundings can be a fun adventure too. Yes, if you change your mind, you can always get the app later at Resident Services. Fuck, do I have to? Alright, that's enough about the app for now. I do have one more thing for you, however. It's your itemized bill. Man, you already hit me with a bill, Tom Nook. So this includes everything. Airfare, accommodations, labor, tax, and of course your Nook phone. Bringing your grand total to the modest sum of 49,800 bells. Bells? Hello? Good one, Annie. Wait, you're being serious? Technically two, but they were the absolute peak badasses of the Elven and Human Alliance, and they were killed in destroying Soren's body. Hell, all of Ilsidor was loot Soren when his body was destroyed. Facts. I still need to catch up on Rings of Power. Where did I leave off? Last thing I remember is I'm blanking on her name. They got off the boat and they wound up on land. Like, that's the last thing I fucking remember. It also doesn't help that I got high as shit when I was watching it. So I could possibly be further than that. Yeah. Well, bells are a currency that can be exchanged for goods or services here on Zen Island. But there's still the problem that you don't actually have any. Yes, of course. Well, no need to worry. I get high as shit while watching Big Bang Theory. Man, I need to figure out what the fuck gummies my coworker had that day, because those, like, knocked me the fuck out. As opposed to getting off a boat and ending up in water. Well, I mean, like, an episode before that, she jumped off a boat into water, because she realized she didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid. Well, no need to worry. I was prepared for exactly this type of tricky situation. For the getaway package, you can pay your fees with miles instead of the standard bells. I call this extremely helpful service the Nook Mileage Program. Okay. Well, it's quite extraordinary if I do say so myself. With the Nook Mileage Program, you can earn miles by simply living your life here on Zen Island. I dare say, the more you enjoy your island life, the more Nook miles you can earn. And you can use them to pay back your move-in fees and much more. So the bottom line is you'd need 49,800 bells to pay your move-in fees, but with this new service, would you believe it? It only comes to 5,000 miles. I'll just go ahead and register you so you can pay in miles. Yes, but there are more details available within your Nook phone. Just open up your Nook Miles app. And you'll see that you've earned some miles just for traveling to the island and joining the program. I hope, if anything, Rings of Power compels people to read the books. Not a fan of the show myself, but if it serves as a gateway to Tolkien and introduces them to that world, then more power to them. No pun intended. I'm sad because, like, so my coworker, the one that I went to go watch Rings of Power with, she has the Silmarillion. And she lent it to me, but I never got the chance to read it because I just got really fucking busy. And then she was like, hey, do you have my book? I'm going to need it back because I'm quitting. And I'm starting in a new job. And I'm like, I mean, I'm happy for your new job because it's more of what you want to do. But I'm sad because I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So I need to get the Silmarillion. And then I still have your book set. Is it back here? Did I put it back here? I can't remember if I have. Yep. The book set that Cosmic sent me is actually right there. Can I finger? Finger, right there. The book set. Be right back there. So I still have it. Like, I'm scared to take the plastic off of it. It's also pretty. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must get back to a few other matters, but let me heartily congratulate you once again on your arrival. I'm so happy to have you as a resident of Zen Island and a client of Nook Inc. Can I finger? Quang, please. Quang, please. Take the plastic off and read them, damn it, that's why I bought them for you. Cosmic, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're pretty. They're just so pretty. Alright. From now on, island time will match the flow of time in the real world. Do not touch the power button when you see the autosave indicator in the top right corner. Dirty them fuckers up. I could never. Dirty them fuck butts up. Buttspot, even Mo was not happy with that. Why has Buttspot been on one tonight? Buttspot has been on one. Hi, Mo. Are you just being needy tonight? He's being so needy. Like, he's so needy. Look at it. Look at this. Look at this man. Look at him. He's so needy. I love Buttspot. Dude, I love Buttspot too. Buttspot has been a wonderful addition to the channel. It makes me so happy. Okay, what the fuck did I get? Paradise planning photo. And then, oh, sample workbench. Beautiful. Dirty them fuck butts up. I challenge any to find something that viable. Oh, Quang, you gotta, I don't allow links in my chat. You'd have to send it to Cosmic. But I'm assuming it's a clip. Oops, forgot link restriction. Yeah, I need to fix that. Not many people like put links in my chat. It was just something that I like put up. Cause you never know. It's not porn, is it? Is it porn? Cosmic's one rule on posting porn. Alright, Tom Nook. It's porn, you'll get banned, but I'll send you a friend request if it's really good. As you can see, it is quite cozy in here. Funny how cozy doesn't always mean comfortable. Let me know if you need advice on how to spend your free time on this island or anything else. If you need some basic advice about basic island materials, you should talk to Timmy. Oh my god. I'm terrified. I fucking can't. I can't. I can't. Can I finger? Alright, like if you're gonna post porn, at least make it some good material for the spank bank. Seriously. At least make it worth it. He can help you procure some of the essentials for thriving in our little paradise. And if you want to earn some bells, he has a rather generous policy of purchasing just about anything. Not strictly advisable from a business perspective, but quite generous. Yes, yes. Oh, one more important thing. I'm offering a free DIY workshop that can help you really build out your island experience. I think it'd be quite useful, so I do hope you take me up on it. I love this song. What would you like to talk to me about? I'm all ears. About that workshop. Yes, the DIY workshop. Each participant will make and keep their own tools and receive the set of DIY recipes. I think it'd be quite useful for island life. So shall I put you down for the next available session? I would love to. It's that kind of stream. We love that kind of stream. We absolutely love that kind of stream. Yes, that's the island spirit. I happen to be free right this very moment, so let's get started. Welcome to my DIY workshop. No, I suppose workshop is overselling it a bit. When you see how simple it is to DIY or do it yourself, you'll understand what I mean. I mean, it is kind of simple to do it yourself. The basic idea is to gather materials, follow a recipe, and then craft using a workbench like this one. So today we'll be constructing a fishing rod using common materials that you find anywhere, yes? For this particular recipe, we require a mere 5 tree branches. It is admittedly a little flimsy. Now then, come see me once you've collected the materials. Bet. Bet. Let's go. I wonder if I could open up my gates yet. Or do I have to wait? Get out of my way. Because I know Sequata was waiting. Let's see. Hang on a sec. How'd you get in here? Could have swore I locked the front door. And it doesn't matter. We're still getting set up in here, so there's no flights today. Sorry about that. Should be open for flights tomorrow, though. So be sure to come back then. Oh, okay. I mean, I could always just time skip. Just saying. Alright, let's find these 5 tree branches. Which I only need 3, right? Yeah, I only need 3. Well, 1. Oh, that was a fucking snowball. I was like, what am I running into? A 2. And 3. Crunch. Fucking Tootsie Pop commercial. A 1, a 2, a 3. Here you go. Ah, Annie found the necessary materials. Well then, let's get started on crafting that fishing rod. Yes, yes. To begin, just select the project from the workbench and get started. Go ahead, give it a try. Let's do it! I made a flimsy fishing rod. Yes, that was perfect. As you can see, crafting is quite simple provided you have the correct recipes. And that concludes my free DIY workshop. Oh, there's just one last thing. I have a few common DIY recipes for you, free of charge, naturally. I'll just need to send them to your Nook phone. Would you mind opening it up? Give me them recipes, please and tankies. Splendid, thank you. The DIY app is now installed on your phone and ready to use anytime. And the flimsy fishing rod you just crafted is yours to keep. It may not last forever, but it should serve you well for at least a little while. Speaking of fishing, I am no master angler, but perhaps I could give you a few tips. You might not be a master angler, but you might be a master baiter. Teehee. I couldn't fucking resist. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. What is wrong with me today? In my experience, you should aim in front of the shadow of a fish when you cast your line. Yes, yes. I would love to see anything you manage to catch. I'm quite curious about the local fauna. You mean the local fish? Fauna are plants. I don't think there's a term yet for what's wrong with you. Accurate. You're not wrong. Mo, do you know what's wrong with me? Flora is plants, fauna is animal. Oh, I'm a fucking dumbass. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Thank you, Quang. Thank you. Can I have my hand back? He just, like... Can I have my hand back? Okay. Let's go fishing. Hold this. I forgot how to fucking fish in this game. Just trying to be helpful. I appreciate you, Quang. I do. Boop. Chat, if Animagus insults herself one more time, you have permission. Oh, I did the thing. You all have permission to smear her face with upside down pineapple crumb cake. Okay, but I'm gonna fucking eat it. I'm just gonna... You can't shove cake in my face and then expect me to not eat it. Do I have to show him my fish? You stop making it so goddamn hard to punish you for self-deprecation? No. Never. It sounds like a very lovely punishment. Tis true. Tis true. I found a creature. Splendid. Let's have a look, shall we? He-go. Oh, what a catch. I do believe this is a horse mackerel. But then self-deprecation is better than self-defecation. Then again, what's the difference? And just let me shit on myself. God, cosmic. This island can support a horse mackerel. Why? Who knows what other fantastic creatures we might find living here. I have an idea. An old friend of mine runs a museum. I'd love to send it to him for a closer look. Would you be okay with that? Sure. I always shit my pants. Sometimes I shit in other people's pants. We just be out here shitting. It's okay. Oh, that reminds me. This is in no way tied to your generous donation just now, but I have a useful app to show you. Badoop. Critterpedia. I never fucking really checked that. I sent you the Critterpedia app. It's a terrific resource for an aspiring island researcher such as yourself. Who said I was an aspiring island researcher? Because I never fucking said that. Those words never left my mouth. You're putting words in my mouth, Tom, and I don't appreciate it. I really, really don't. Life is a pair of pants, and I'm just shitting in them, baby. Oh my god. I make self-deprecating jokes for similar reasons to Fat Amy and Pitch Perfect. You think that short, bald loser joke stung? Bitch, I played that for laughs years ago. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, I love Fat Amy. Pitch Perfect is fucking fantastic. I made it through the first one and part of the second one. I never watched the third one. The first one was just too goddamn perfect. Somebody peed my pants. You're not cool unless you pee your pants. And I hope you'll continue to fill it up with your discoveries and share them with me too. I'm sure I'll be able to come up with some kind of additional reward. That is our Nook stop. It's a terminal for services that will further enhance your island life. At the moment, you can use 2 services, Annie. The first is Nook Shopping. It's a catalog shopping service for items that can be hard to find on an island. Second, this terminal serves as an automatic bell dispenser, or ABD, for Bank of Nook. Hot take, the Bellas did not win against the German team in Pitch Perfect 2. Dude, it's been so long since I've even watched it. I don't know if I ever finished Pitch Perfect 2. We're also working on a service by which you'll be able to redeem Nook miles for various things. Please take advantage of these wonderful services. Quite beneficial indeed. Yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Welcome to the Nook Stop, a multimedia terminal from Nook Inc. Once per day, accessing the Nook Stop will award you bonus daily miles. Please select from the following services. They did not. I know they had to win because otherwise there wouldn't have been a third, but the Germans got fucking robbed. How dare they rob the Germans? Oh, that's cute. Bum 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 bum. Just like I 100% think that Tenacious D won the Rock Off the Devil was weak sauce. I've never seen Tenacious D either. I need to watch all these fucking movies. Should we have like a Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny movie night in the Discord? Either Germans did My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark by Fall Out Boy and the Bellas did some whatever the fuck that bullshit was. It did not beat the Germans. Would you like to talk to me about them all year? Pick a Destiny is stupid as fuck, but it's hilarious nonetheless. That's what I think about like all of the movies like that. They're fucking stupid, but they're funny. Well, this island is a diverse habitat for many interesting creatures, you know, other than us. You can catch all kind of insects and fish if you practice with your fishing net and rod. Your net and fishing rod. I'd be most curious to see any creatures you do catch. By all means, bring them to me. Pick a Destiny is hilarious, as are Tenacious D skits. I didn't know they did skits. Interesting. I just been resting, writing more music. Samuel! Rest up, buddy. Rest up. Campfire was a lot of fun. We're keeping resident services open at night, so feel free to stop by if you need to talk about anything. Unfortunately, I was told about them, just never got back around to them. For the time being, I'll be out and about checking in with everyone, seeing how folks are doing. If you're ever unsure about what you do, don't hesitate to stop me for a chat. I feel like we're going to need to time skip. Let me see. Let me go. We're going to talk to everybody on the island and see, is there anything else I could do before I close this out in time skip? Nope. Bring that back. Bring that back. We trying to talk. Wow, my heart's really racing. I hope the fish can't hear it. If you can find it, there's one where they go to the bathroom together, a public fucking bathroom, and try to collect some of their own fluids for the purpose of selling. And movies show backlog is ridiculous huge. I'm a cinephile, and I'll watch all manner of weird shit. And it looks like they're shooting shampoo and conditioner at the wall. Oh no. Oh no. Where's Sly? Sly! What you got for me, bub? Yo, I'm pumped about that spot you helped me pick out for my tent. Thanks for the push. Hope we could keep looking out for each other like this. It's good to have buddies. Oh, right. I've got something here for you. Thanks again for finding a place for my place. You welcome. I have a hat. A mesh cap is perfect for Zen Island. You can try it on by pressing X to open up your pockets, then press A to select the item you want. Choose where if you want to put it on. You can always change later if you need to work out. Let's see this hat that he gave me. Okay, no, we're taking that shit off. No, take it off. Remove that. They kicked me out of the sperm bank. Apparently they don't allow withdrawals. Oh no. Oh no. Boop. What do I do now? Can I talk to you? Welcome. You don't waste any time, do you? We're still setting up. For starters, we intend to offer a small selection of goods for our island residents. Space is limited right now, but we'll try to have some fresh stock each and every day. I'm sure you're busy, but feel free to take a look at some of the items we're thinking of selling. I'll take a look. Great. A tissue box and a plastic canister. Damn. Okay. You get kicked out of sperm banks really quickly when you tell the nurse you brought your own straw? A-leg. A-leg. I can't with you. I can't. All right, so we are going to save and close out. We're going to time skip, and then we're going to jump ahead a day. Off topic, but I remember back when I worked at movie galleries, some guy pissed all over the bathroom, and there was this time where infomercials were dying, but still prominent. And we were all looking at what this fucker had done, and I looked at my manager and team member and said, anyone got a sham wow? The Forbidden Capri Sun? A-leg. Excuse me? I fucking can't. I cannot. Date and time. Skip one day. Boop. And we're gonna start back up. I fucking can't with y'all. Y'all are insane. But I love you. Remember you modded this? You saw this and said, yes, this who should protect my community. Tis true. Tis very true. This pina colada tastes a little salty. I'm fucking crying. I can't. Oh shit. You're right though, A-Lig. I looked dead square at you and I was like, you know what? Yep. This is who I want to be my mod. Alright, what you got for me, Tom Nook? Testing, testing, test, test. Hello, everyone! Oh dear, so sorry about that. The volume was a little loud there. Sir, why are your pants off? I'm just refilling the yogurt. If your shit comes out looking like yogurt, you might want to go see a doctor. Starting today, I'll be doing an island-wide broadcast full of island updates going on and such. Twitch in a nutshell here. Let's play an adorable Nintendo game about cuddly animals and talk about jizz. If you're walking, why you do that? Is that a good... I fucking can't. I feel like this is the unholy trinity right here. A-Lig, Quang, and Cosmic. And that shells out like a testicle and that shell. No, Boba. No. No. A-Lig, please. Now it's only fitting that we kick off this daily ritual with a doozy of an island announcement. The Zen Island Airport is now open for business. Starting today, you can use online or local communication to fly to other islands. Yes! Boba, these nuts. Oh my fucking god, I love you guys. Now I regret I didn't say Twitch in a nutsack. Oh my god. Missed opportunity, Quang. Missed opportunity. That's not all. No. The airport counter now offers postal services. And just like the resident services center, the airport is open 24 hours a day. So please do drop by for a look. Nutsack, bag of nuts, foot long. Oh no. $5 foot long? That's all from me. I do hope you enjoy another fine day of luxurious Zen Island living. I fucking can't with y'all. I said I was feeling unhinged and I was gonna restart my Animal Crossing island. And y'all said Annie's unhinged? Fucking bet! I'm keeping my full degeneracy off, chat. There's a line, and I think stuff like hand churned throat yogurt is a bit too much. It's never too much, A-Lig. It's never too much. Ooh, what did mom give me? What did mom give me? Oh, I have apples. Oh, okay. Fine, you brought this on yourself, toddler sauce? Oh, no. There's this guy in high school who told me he had a 12-inch dick, and I asked him, was that before or after the porn shop burned down? I'm well known to be trouble when I'm on my gremlin energy. Just depends whether Meryl Streep is in Gatorade or whatever that shit is. Man, that's the kind of energy we love. Right? We love full degenerate A-Lig. We absolutely love full degenerate A-Lig. Alright, Tom Nook, what you got for me? Ah, Annie, hello, hello. What would you like to talk to me about? I'm all ears. What should I do? Nut sauce, finger looking good. Finger looking good. A-Lig is a level of menace I aspire to. Quang, you have no fucking idea. Like, I have known A-Lig for going on, what, a year and a half now? And the shit that this man and I have had conversations about in chat and, like, in DMs is ridiculous. But goddamn, I love him. Well, this island is a diverse habitat for many interesting creatures, you know, other than us. Yes, you can catch all kinds of insects and fish if you practice with your net and fishing rod. Okay, so that was the same shit. I wonder how far I could push this. See if you can use the airport now. I can, Sequata, I can. Tom Nook just made the announcement, so I was just seeing if there was anything I needed to do. I'm gonna go unlock the airport now. Quang, A-Lig's degeneracy goes so far as he has a whole ass channel in someone else's Discord for how degenerate he gets. Like, a whole ass channel. It is called The Book of A-Lig. Hey, welcome to your one and only gateway to the skies, the Zen Island Airport. Nice to meet you. I'm Orville, ground crew for Dodo Airlines. And Vegas hasn't brought up my degeneracy either. I wonder who is more degen, Cosmic or A-Lig? Cause y'all are about on the same fucking level to me. Dodo Airlines, the crew may be flightless, but that doesn't mean you have to be. If you want to visit another island or invite friends to this one, this is the place to do it. I've also got a mail service at the airport. Sometimes a letter is just better, you know? If you want to send someone a note, take a gander to your right. We've got all kinds of cards at the card stand. By the way, you're Annie, right? It's a small island. Word gets around. So, Annie, you got anything to tell me? Yes, I want visitors. You want to have company over? Sounds like fun. So the first time you connect with folks on another island, whether letting them in or visiting them, the legal eagles say, I gotta make sure you see some important info. It's kind of long, but it's a big deal, so please read the whole thing. Okay, I understand. I'm not reading all that shit. Let's move on to the next step. You want to invite someone from a nearby island on local play or one from a far off island online. Sounds good. Oh, and sorry if we showed you this before, but the legal eagles say we gotta before someone plays online. I understand. Gotcha. Just let me connect to the old internet for some online play then. Roger that. Alright, I can't hear that term without remembering Drawn Together when Foxy stuck a raw chicken leg in her vagoo, pulled it out fried and declared, now that's finger fucking good. Dude, I miss Drawn Together. Drawn Together was fucking ridiculous. Invite via dodo code. You should know that the code is only good for this visit. Next time I'll have a different code. The more the merrier. Bum bum bum. Yup. Bum 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 bum. Alright. We'll do this. For anyone that wants to visit 2YK8G. And then boop. Alright, there we go. Beautiful. I love pinned messages. I love it so much. I'll put it this way. I'm known to die in video games and wish for the enemy who killed me to put themselves in a situation involving gratuitous sexuality, swearing in a barn animal. It was so wrong, but my god, I never laughed so hard other than maybe Ghost Stories dub. I usually go for Cactus myself, but same dude. Right? Alrighty. Boop. Alright. right, dodo code is pinned in chat. If anyone does have Animal Crossing that may be lurking, and they want to come in and just explore the like lack of an island that I have right now, you're more than welcome to do so. And just so everyone knows, an ad will run here in about 2 minutes, so just a heads up. I mean, we're just playing Animal Crossing, so nothing like too important's gonna happen. Hi, baby. What are you doing? Are you being needy? Oh god, Mo. Mo just went like full dead fucking weight. I promise, we'll cuddle after stream. We'll go lay in bed, we'll go cuddle. Make sure your pockets are empty. Okay, will do. Will do. I promise, after stream, we'll go lay in bed, we'll go cuddle, I'll give you all the loves in the world. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now when it comes to prickly stuff, I usually just want them to shove a section of a thorny rosebush inside their dicks while it's hard, grab onto it as hard as they can, digging the thorns in internally, and while they've got the grip, use the other hand to slowly pull it back out. Oh my god. See, I feel like with Cosmic, I feel like his brain goes brutal and Aelix goes dirty. Not to say that the other couldn't do that, but like that's just he big man. I'm a hateful motherfucker. I'm a hateful motherfucker, but sounds like those Amazon fish that swim up your dick hole and extend barbs. Boop. 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 Sequata, why are you so nice? You're too freaking kind to me. Mo. Basically, my humor is a knife while Aelix covers the knife in feces so that even if you survive the wound, you still have a mean infection to deal with. Accurate. 'Tis accurate. Okay. Those pockets were empty. So we can go deposit all of this. We'll go do this. Deposit. Full amount. Boop. Although if Aelix and I were in charge of Helm, neither of us would be enticing choices when it comes to choosing your eternal punishment. No. Neither one. Neither one. Dude, I'm just, you know, we just vibing here. Sequata, you too freaking nice. I appreciate you. Like, thank you, thank you. Deposit. Full amount. My wife just said, I've got plenty of wood, and I just kept thinking back to Big Bang Theory when they were trying to innocently play Catan, but they kept laughing every time Sheldon said something in relation to wood. I've never played Catan. I actually, like, has anyone in here played Catan before? Am I saying it right? Catan? Catan? I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I have one more thing to give you for my island. Be right back. Okay, no worries, Sequata. Thank you again. I really, really appreciate all of this. I have. It's pretty damn fun. Catan is the worst board game ever. Oh no. You got robbed, huh? No, I'm patiently waiting for when me and my group play D&D again. Hate it so much, it's literally pure chance. Beautiful. That means that's a game that my husband can't be good at. Like, I don't know how this motherfucker is just so good at board games, but it makes me mad. It legitimately makes me angry that he's so good at games in general. Like, we'll be playing Clue. I refuse to play Clue with this man, okay? I'll be playing Clue with him, and he will have, like, the entire thing within, like, 3 turns. And I'm like, literally how? Quelf is the best board game, especially when drunk. Nah, me and my, this was me, my husband, and my brothers. We played Munchkin drunk. That was a fun time. There was so much yelling, fuck you. It was great. It was great. I went through 2 bottles of wine and half a bottle of Rumple Mints while we played. Okay. I didn't miss anything. Okay, we're gonna go pop all this back in there. Like, don't get me wrong, I love video games. Not video games, but board games. We used to have a board game group that we would meet up once a week to play board games together. And I would love to, like, do that again. Maybe if I could find some, like, online board games that we all could play together, it would be fun to start up a board game group within the Discord. Cuff literally makes you do charades, follow stupid rules, and other goofy actions to win. Oh no. See, that's not my type of game. I can't, like... I am a shameful motherfucker. I have too much shame. I can't be stupid. Not on purpose, anyways. Not on purpose. Okay, let's... Oh, shit. Coming back now? Okay, no worries, Sequata. My gate is still open. I have not closed it. I'll leave it open for the entirety of stream. That way, if anyone wants to come in. I don't have much on my island, but... It's a little something. I need to craft a workbench. Ugh! Best believe if you play me at Sorry or Life and you done something to piss me off, my petty ass is gonna unleash some pure butt fuckery. I'm that way with Monopoly. Like, it's so bad. my husband has banned me from playing Monopoly. Somebody have the absolute audacity to mention board games while I'm around. Yes, Alig, I am thinking of starting up a board game group within the Discord. I think it'd be fun to get together like once a week and play some board games. And I know, don't you have a thing online that has like a fucking digital library of board games? Like, yes, I'll get my premium membership back up on Board Game Arena. Yes, yes, okay. A-League, we might chat tomorrow about that. We might chat tomorrow about that. Shit, I know you got some stories. We played this one game, and I can't ever remember the name of it. Let me see. What fucking game was it? No, it's not that. It's not that. Is that it? No, that's not it. No, wait. No. I'm gonna find it. There is this one board game. Like, okay, so we used to have a friend that wait, did I find it? Hold up. We used to have a friend that he had a 3-story townhouse, and he hosted the game nights, and we would, no, that's not it. We would all come over, and like his basement was nothing but board games, like wall to ceiling board games. Is this it? What the fuck is it? Is this it? Is this it? It was something about like exploration in space, and that is, there we go. Zia Legends of a Drift System. Let's see. The description is Legends of a Drift System makes a list for the best space exploration board games because of its sandbox style that allows you to spy around the deep reaches of space and choose your path to glory. This is an adventure game driven by dice rolling and action points. You fly your ships about the system, completing a variety of missions, exploring new sectors, and battling other ships. Navigating hazardous environments, you choose to mine, salvage, or trade valuable cargo. Captains vie with each other for titles, riches, and most importantly, fame. So, like, you can either be, like, a fucking, like, space pirate, or you could, like, be a very, very, like, positive person and be good. My husband redeemed, doggo treats, so look at this happy boy. What do you do? What are you supposed to do? Oh, that's a good boy. That is such a good boy. All right. Oh, it's gonna fall. Simba, here you go. Take your dog treat. All right. Ready for this? You wait. You wait. You wait patiently. The drool! Did we catch that on camera? Because I swear to God, that's gross. All right. Okay. Such a gentle boy. Such a gentle boy. Ew, you are drooling everywhere. I have no more. I have no more. There's no mores. You leave that bag on the floor for right now. I'll pick it up later. Thank you for doggo treats, babe. Mo appreciates you. Your eyes are dirty. Come here. Your eyes are dirty. Your eyes dirty. You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Okay. Boop. Let me catch up on chat while I was trying to find that board game. No worries. You can slide in my DMs anytime. Hey, like I'm sliding in them DMs. Sliding in them. We own something like 70 to 80 different board games, and that's just physically. I don't know the worst thing you've done within the rules of a board game. I used a rule in a game to make it where someone couldn't attack me for as long as I had the card active. Normally, you'd switch cards pretty regularly to make things go differently. So I couldn't attack them, and they couldn't attack me. So I absolutely murdered the other 2 players in the game, and there was fuck all you could do about it. They would have won otherwise. Beautiful. Beautiful. You are now a millionaire, Sequata. I appreciate you. I fucking appreciate you. You are so kind to me. And I definitely don't deserve it. So thank you. Thank you. Tendine, fuck you. We're never playing games together ever again. No, okay, so I pissed off my husband. Well, he started it, okay? I don't remember what he did, but he did something to, like, piss me off. He did something to make me angry. And we were playing Monopoly. It was me, him, and our old college roommate. Ew, I have fucking drool on my jacket. So it was me, him, and my college roommate. We were playing Monopoly. They pissed me off. So I went around the board. Okay, I was very quiet about this. I went around the board and I bought one of every property. Okay? Just one single property from every area. And then I refused to sell it to them. I refused to trade. I refused to do anything with those properties. I just let them fucking sit. And they both had like almost full sets of their like of properties, and they were like, "You're being such a bitch right now, like why won't you just sell it to us?" And I'm like, nope, I'm gonna sit here. So it was literally like, I think an extra hour of gameplay of me just going, no, I'm not, no. And then my husband banned me from ever playing Monopoly again because I get hateful. This is why I love being on the same team as A-League. Ooh. Go over. Pull them out. Surprisingly enough, I'm not competitive when it comes to board games. I usually just focus on making sure everyone has a fun time. If I win, great. I just want people to enjoy the hobby I enjoy. Usually, I'm not like that vengeful when it comes to board games. Usually I'm pretty chill. But that, he did something to piss me off. And I was like, you know what? No, fuck you. Interesting conversation here. I was lurking. I don't know what this talk is about, but I always hated shooter voice chat. Sorry for the random comment. No, you're good, MQ. You're good. We were just talking about board games and how when I get pissed off in board games, I get petty. I get like super fucking petty. So yeah, that's what we were talking about. But we were also talking about like starting up maybe like weekly or bi-weekly board game night. In the Discord, maybe A-League has Board Game Arena, I think is what it's called. And it could be something that we could do like a different board game a week or whatever. So I think that'd be something that's fun to do as a community that everybody could do. You know what your husband does that pisses me off? Claims he could play Smash. Yes. Yes. Mr. I hope he's still lurking in chat. Mr. I could play Smash proceeds to let his wife whoop his ass. His wife who doesn't fucking play Smash at all. And, you know, absolutely get wrecked. And then, you know, so he, like, we went home to visit his family, right? So naturally, I'm talking shit. Because he comes from a, like, super competitive family. When it comes to video games, at least. So I'm naturally talking my shit. And I'm like, yeah, I whooped your son's ass in Smash. And he comes out of the corner. He's like, it's because I was drunk. It's because I was drunk. That's why you won. And I was like, sure. Play me right now. Play me in Smash right now. I'm going to show you that I can beat your ass. And I still won while he was sober. And babe, if you're still lurking in chat, come at me. Oh, hi, babe. Hi. Remember when I kicked your ass as Sora in Smash? And then you blamed it on you being drunk? And then I proceeded to kick your ass again when you were sober? I love you. I love you. Please don't kill me in Minecraft when we play again. Board game culture peaked for me when I used to play with my cousins in the house when we were little. And any elementary school day, it was raining outside and we couldn't play recess, so we just did board games inside. But whenever I still see my cousins every once in a while, we always do Uno, and the rules always change when we play Uno. The rules always change when we do Uno. I honestly have no clue what you're talking about. Sure. Sure you don't. I love you. I hope work was good today. Can't wait to tell you about my fucking day at work. I adore your face. You're handsome. Yeah, so my family used to do puzzle nights. And, we used to do puzzles and we used to Scrabble. We used to do puzzles and Scrabble. And it's funny because my mom's first language is Spanish. Like, my mom was born in the Dominican Republic. So her second language is English. How this woman managed to rack up like 600-700 points in Scrabble, I have no fucking clue. And then, like, even me and my brother, our first language is English. Like, we were honors kids. Like, we couldn't even beat her. But yet she always calls me and she's like, how do you spell this? And I'm like, bitch, how? Literally how? I do not understand. I genuinely do not understand. I need to catch bugs. Fuck you. I caught the bug first. I used to play Smash Bros. Ultimate a few years ago. Snake was always my main on both Brawl and Ultimate. I just started trying out Multiverses recently. I haven't played Multiverses, but I watched my husband play it. I have watched my husband play Multiverses. Ooh, wait. So there's always... yeah, here we go. Let me pick this up. Because there's always a recipe on the beach. Wooden table mirror. Ooh, I would like that. Yes, please. This sounds fucking terrible. I've been known to beat my nephew's ass at Mortal Kombat 11, and I'll be high as fuck laughing my ass off at him, getting frustrated. When he tries to quit, I'll give him some bullshit. You can't get better if you don't practice, so he'll come back, and I'll beat shit down his legs even worse. I'm an asshole. No, okay, so that is me and Ryan to a T. Like, we've already discussed when we have kids, we are not going to show them any mercy. In this house, you earn your wins. You don't get handed your wins. My nephews and I, okay, now mind you, my nephews are 2. Well, no, now they're 3 and 5 or 6. I think 6. 3 and 6. Okay. And they got Mario Kart for Christmas. You bet your ass I did not let them win. Like, I don't give a flying fuck how old you are. Mario Kart is serious business and you are not going to win. No, no. I'm sorry, I'll never take it easy on another player. You either whip my ass or I'll whip yours because that's the way it was done growing up. I bit the bullet under my uncle and stepdad. Yes. Yes, that's how it was done. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, doesn't matter. Tekken. Hello, are those pairs just not gonna come down? Okay. That don't make no sense, but okay. Multiverses, Warner Brothers Cartoon Network, and NBA characters / stars. Interesting. I'm gonna have to check it out. Isn't it free? Well, I don't remember. Mario Kart is how you end friendships, literally. This is why I am dubbed the Mario Kart Menace by the one and only the Shady Joker. I don't even care if I win. I'm just out to ruin your life. I'll never forget the time I played Mario Kart Online. This is back on Mario Kart DS and the first Mario Kart to ever have online multiplayer. I got my ass whooped by the sweats, and that continued on even Mario Kart Wii, and when online expanded to 12 players, it put a dose of reality in me. MQ how do you get whooped in fucking Mario Kart? Because I have literally never seen you lose a race. Like, it's one of those things when you play Mario Kart with MQ, you're just like, oh, I second place is first place. Like, second place is first place. Okay? I play Monopoly with you if you want. We'll see. We'll see. We might do Monopoly in the Discord. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of fun to do sometimes. I had my first dose of reality when I played Mortal Kombat Online. That's when you realize how serious people take that fucking game. Yeah. To be fair, I've played many different Mario Kart titles for years, so experience those Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Wii days online made me better. Ooh. A cooler box. Interesting. Yeah, no. Whenever I play Mario Kart with MQ, I'm just like, if I get second place, I got first. And to be fair, in Shady's community, the two carters who give me the tightest races are without a doubt So Jamie and MJ, they're really good too. They are good. They are good. I just like I make it my mission to just ruin Shady's day. That's all I want to do. Where are all the fucking like insects? I think I have to like ship 20 of them out to unlock the museum. I'm trying to see if there's any like wasps or beehives or whatever. That way I could get that one and then I can stop shaking trees. I remember back in September, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe stream before last that Shady hosted. That was the sweatiest lobby ever. So many good racers showed up that day. I didn't even get first as often. It was hectic, but I loved it. Beautiful. I hope he does another Mario Kart day really soon. I haven't played Mario Kart in so long. I need to play Mario Kart. Especially because the new tracks are out. So I kind of want to play those too. Boop. Boop. Give. For the new custom items update that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe added in to this recent update since December. Depending on the settings, it can level out the playing field big time. No matter how much of the game you know, it will totally break the game and it's anybody's. When someone say Mario Kart, I'll gladly hold down 9th if needed, but I'll talk mad shit the entire time. Oh, Sam, like, I don't care if I'm fucking coming in last place. I'm talking shit. Like, I will talk shit all day, every day. Okay. So that's all that I've got here. Those are all snowflakes. I need some fucking insects. That's all I need. Because I don't think I can craft anything else right now. What can I craft? I need iron nuggets for those. So I need I need an axe. I can do a campfire. We'll hold off on that. Ooh, wait. Can I buy crafting things from here? Not yet. Fuck. I posted a message on your island. Okay, I'll go check it out. I'll go check it out. Don't I need to pay? You know, after I come. Okay, no worries. No worries, Tom. Let's see what this message Sequata left us. Let's see. Oh, Sequata, thank you. Thank you for that. We place a tape deck in front of our resident services so you can enjoy group stretching. Group stretches. Happy island living begins with daily exercise. I need to do exercise more. I need to go to the gym more. Okay. Isn't group stretching one of the things? Can I do that now? Isn't that a... Okay. Cool. It's good to see you. How are you enjoying island life? That reminds me of you use the Nook Stop inside resident services. You should, even if you don't really need anything, accessing it once per day will get you some Nook miles. And you're an even more miles if you use it multiple days in a row. It's an easy way to earn some miles. Cool. Damn it. No! Give me the snowflake. Snowflake. It's a snowflake. I could probably like de-weed my island and sell some of those. We're just, you know, we're gonna take care of our island. We're gonna make it look pretty. You know, ooh, I could do fishing. I could go fishing. That's what I could do. Fish. 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 Boop. Gib fish, please and thank you. Little horse mackerel. Let's see if we can catch bigger fish. Big fish? Big fish? Hello? Tiny fish? I want big fish. I want big fish. Do I only have tiny fish available? Listen here. Give fish. I think that you get... Oh, shit! I hit it too early. I think river fish are different than ocean fish. I do think that... Let's see. Fish? Hello? Fish! Okay, let's... Oh, wait, I can hit it now. Here! Oh, what's this? I got anchovy. Stay away from my pizza. Who eats anchovies on pizza? Look at you, Sequata. Look at you. I don't have any... No, I don't. I don't have any reactions yet. I gotta wait till they give me some. Let's go. We're gonna talk to the people. So made the recent decision to move on from streaming due to it not feeling for me anymore. You know what, Samuel? Sometimes you just gotta move on from streaming. Like, sometimes it's just you've run its course. Like, in all honesty, I almost quit streaming last year, towards like October-ish, like October, November, because I felt like I had like fallen off. I felt that it just wasn't for me anymore. And then, you know, I kept pushing a little bit and I was like, you know what? I want to come back. I want to do this. I want to make this a thing that I, you know, come home to and I get to hang out with you guys. It's like how I made so many new friends and I didn't want to lose that and I want to make more friends. But if you feel like it's just not for you anymore, by all means, only forcing it will just make you hate it. And it could make you hate video games and like that would be sad. I've had a steak top of the fried egg and anchovies. It was actually pretty baller. Interesting. Oh, you came up with a recipe for a leaf umbrella? That's too sweet. First thing I thought when I got here was, now that's a lot of weeds. It's kind of where I got the idea. It's a DIY project that uses weeds. Think about it. Weeds are the most abundant natural resource we have. May as well use them. You right. Where's Sly? Where is Sly? Do you have anything for me, Sly? Yeah, there you. Oh no, that's not you. That's Tommy. You know, shaky trees or cutting them down can sometimes knock loose a wasp nest, so be careful. Your face might get all puffy if you get stung while tangling with angry wasps. Even heard of puffy-faced folks getting re-stung and then fainting, so don't press your luck. In resident services, we sell medicine that'll help with insect stings and bites and such. It definitely wasn't an easy decision, but I feel like it's the best thing for my life right now. And that's all that you can do. Like, you do what is best for you. Do what is best for your life and your schedule and your priorities. And no one can ever fault you for doing that. And if anyone even tries to fault you for doing that, tell them to fuck off and eat your ass. That's my advice. For you, I think I'd carry some with me at all times. You know what? That's a wise advice that I'm not gonna take. I probably should, but big fish? No, little fish. I'm gonna go talk to Sly. Sly, do you have anything important to tell me? Yo, you been training? Wanna chat? I thought I'd be able to just wing it, but then kind of sort of moved here without a bell to my name. So I'm trying to set up my routine, and well, bottom line is I'm ultra broke. I could do some weeding or pick up stuff and sell it to Timmy. That might help. Yes. If you need monies, do that. I'm thankful we met and became friends. You've instant became one of my favorite people on this platform. Samuel, you're one of my favorite people. You're always so heckin' sweet, and you always come in here with a positive attitude, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Come here, fish. Give fish. What's this? Caught a bluegill. Can't carry anything else. Should I swap? Ooh, swap it. I mean, I could get rid of the snowflake. What is this? Oh, learn the leaf umbrella. I'll forever always support you, be here for you. Samuel, I love you. I love you. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate your support. And I appreciate your friendship. And I will never take it for kindness. Or for granted. I will never take it for granted. Words are hard. I love the chaos in your stream and seeing you make my days. Sequata, y'all are all so sweet. What did I do to deserve such sweethearts in my chat? Like, y'all about to make me tear up. Like, y'all really changed my life for the better. I don't, like, streaming has been instantly one of the easiest decisions to do. Like, I was scared that people would come up here and no one would like me and that people would think I'm annoying. And y'all have all proved that otherwise. Just because I was always the annoying kid growing up. Like, Hey, Sequata. Like, I was always seen as, like, the annoying kid growing up, and I didn't have a lot of friends that got me. And you guys literally get me. Like, y'all understand me. And for that, I'm forever grateful for y'all. I really am. 'Cause it shows, like, there. Ooh, ooh, there's a bug. Sorry, short attention span. Twitch is one of the good things about Twitch is that nobody is literally forcing you to be here. Like, you all are choosing to be here. And, like, don't think that I don't see that or that I don't appreciate the hell out of that, because I really, really do. Y'all make the conscious decision to hang out with me every single time I go live. And it's fucking fantastic. The fact that y'all choose me. Because y'all could be literally anywhere else. Like, literally anywhere else. Y'all could be. And y'all decide to hang out with me. So, thank you guys. Twitch at least saved my 2021 and 2022. Yeah. 2020 to 2022. Like, Twitch saved it. Ooh. I have Nook Miles? Miles? Hello! Gib Furniture. Gib Furniture. Boop. And then Shady Shakedown. Let's see here. Ooh. I wanna, okay, I wanna, hush. I wanna edit it. How do I edit it? Edit it. Can I only close? What the? Okay. Let's go see if I can sell things. Let's go see if I can sell anything. Like, I could sell my weeds and get rid of that. You gonna let me sell things? I want to sell. You can have the clump of weeds. And you can have a little sand dollar. Akino Soon, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Welcome in. Look at all the fine things you've brought in today. Allow me just a moment to run the numbers. And done. 340 bells. We rich! We rich. Nah, we rich thanks to Sequata. What's for sale? Anything good? Oh, a director's chair and a toolbox. Alright, not gonna lie, that director's chair is low-key kind of cute. Low-key kind of cute. Thank you for the welcome. I'm doing alright. Thank you. How are you? I'm doing good. It's kind of a low energy day for me. So usually we play God of War on Tuesdays, but I'm feeling a little, like, low energy, and I was like, we're gonna play some Animal Crossing. I'm gonna restart my island like a crazy woman. Like, I had a whole island, like, completely done. I had, like, the KK slider part done. I had all of the, extra, like, apps on your phone and that you could like redo your whole island, and then I was like, I'm gonna restart it. I want to add you to my Animal Crossing friends list, but I have to wait till you add my Switch friends code. Okay. I can do that after stream. I can totally do that after stream. Because I want to make sure that like I'm doing what. Ooh, I could sell one more thing. Yeah, I could do that after stream, Sequata. I never had trouble making friends. It's mainly keeping those friends is always a problem, and for the longest time I felt I was unworthy of friends. Mostly because I wasn't the best socially, sometimes because of my autism, and with friends just leaving and ghosting me for no reason. I just felt I was a terrible and annoying person for the longest time. So, like with that, I think it's just a majority of people not understanding autism in general and the troubles that come with it. You know, like it is something tricky to kind of navigate on both ends. Because, like, for someone who. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you, thank you. We do have anonymous follows on, so you can feel free to lurk safely and I won't call you out of your lurk. And thank you for the hey, I'm new here. We have your acceptance letter right here, and you'll find your supplies list in your class schedule inside. Welcome in. But no, with with autism, it's like it's a tricky thing to navigate because like some people don't fully understand, and those people that don't fully understand, they take the wrong way of doing things. And then on the other end, like you want people to understand, but it's not always easy to speak about the things that you struggle with. So it's like it's really tricky to navigate, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that, Samuel. It's definitely like it's definitely not okay. Okay, I found creatures. Glad to hear you're good. I'm sorry to hear you have low energy right now. I hope it becomes better for you soon. Oh, it'll become better. It's just cause so I'm an elementary school art teacher. And I see 200 kids in a day, so I have to talk to 200 kids plus like the 40 extra teachers that I work with. And then if I have to talk to any parents, so it's a lot of like socialization. And I am mostly introverted, so like having to do that much socialization on the regular, it's draining, and I am tired. It was a day. I had kindergarten through second grade wanting to act crazy and yell and scream and run all over my room, and it was really tough to reel them in and get them to work. So it's just very low energy. They sucked all the energy out of me. I just restarted myself. I got burned out. Same. I didn't know what to do with my island. I was just like, what do I do? I've already done everything and I don't know how to decorate. And I had no clue what to do. But now I have plenty of ideas. Plenty of ideas. Yes, an axe would come in handy. It would really come in handy. Can I give you multiple critters to take off my hands? And hey, it's Lucifer, thank you for redeeming. Hi, I'm new here. Welcome in. I hope you're doing good. Oh, do I have to give you different ones? Ugh. Maybe different ones? Okay. So you have the horseback roll, and then you have this little butterfly. So then you need... I could sell those two. You don't have a bluegill, so you could take that one. I do believe this is a bluegill. Would you mind if I sent this? Yes, take it. Take it. Send it off. I have a proper reward for you. Gib reward. Akino-sun, do you have a favorite villager? I would love to know who your favorite villager is if you have one, because I have a couple. Ooh, I could make a garden. I'm gonna make a garden by my tent. I found a creature. You have a horse mackerel. Take the anchovy. The best thing about having friends on YouTube/Twitch is finding people that understand and get your struggles and anxiety and just love you for you. Yes. Yes. And you know what, Samuel, we love you for you. We absolutely adore you. We love having you around. That is one of the best things about just streaming in general and content creation, is that you have a whole community of people that choose to be around you. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Like, streaming has changed my life. It really has. It's been fantastic to get to know everyone up here and make new friends. I love Snake and Genji. What are some villagers you love? Okay, so I am in love with Boomer and Sprinkle. Boomer and Sprinkle are my two favorites, and I'm gonna go on a villager hunt to find them. I also love Sky and Goose. I think they're adorable. Those like my top 4. And apparently I am like the only one that feels this way, but I don't like Agnes. Agnes and I are at war. And if I find Agnes, I'm turning around and I'm getting back on the plane and I'm coming back to my island. Because she was mean to me. And I don't like it when my villagers are mean. Tom, I will try to bring you new discoveries. How many Nook miles do I have, actually? Because I know I need 5,000, right? How many Nook miles do I have? Oh, it doesn't say. I could go sell these. I can go sell these. And then I need to craft an axe. What else do I need? What else do I need to do? I want to sell. I could sell this horse mackerel and the butterfly. You run the numbers, Timmy. Give me my 310 bells. Gimme. Okay, what can I craft? An axe. Let's do it. Speedy craft. Twitch, I hardly, if ever, dealt any issues with anyone on here. Yeah, I've dealt with like a couple of issues, but it's never been anything that I couldn't handle. And thankfully I've had like you guys behind me and my mods supporting me in the background and like helping like validate that I'm not crazy in some of my feelings. So it's been lovely, honestly. Plant 1. Plant. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna have a little garden over here. We need to like de-weed our garden. I only have seen Sprinkler. She's a cute one. Agnes was mean to you. Definitely fight her if you see her. Oh, my whole community has threatened to turn her into pork chops or bacon. Agnes told me that this island isn't big enough for the 2 of us. And then she stole chocolate from my friend Heroes when Heroes was trying to get her to leave. Stole his chocolate. So we don't like Agnes here. But yeah, Sprinkle is super cute. I adore Sprinkle. Hands down one of my favorite villagers. Like, I lost my shit when I saw her like in the Paradise Planning expansion. I lost my shit. Like I squealed because she's so damn cute. Let me know if you need anything else. Thank you so much, Sequata. Thank you, thank you. I mean, you know, I will take any donations that you guys have. Whenever I play Animal Crossing, I leave my gate open. And you guys are also, of course, like more than welcome to come visit the island whenever I'm playing. I'm 110% okay with that. And if there's anything on my island that you guys need, like if somebody needs pears and they like my island has pears, I'm definitely okay with y'all come stealing some. But with that being said, we are going to start wrapping it up for the night. Just because I do have to work in the morning, I have to be up at 6:30. And it is 10 o'clock now, so I do have to start getting some sleep. I'm not definitely turning her into pork chops. Exactly. We turning her into pork chops because it's just no. It's rude. Thank you guys so much for stream today. I had a blast with Animal Crossing. I definitely missed this game. I'm probably gonna like get back into it. I've been on a Stardew Valley kick for a while. And a Disney Dreamlight Valley, so I think I definitely need to put Animal Crossing back in the rotation of games that I play offline. And we'll probably play it on stream every now and then. This was definitely a one-off for now. But we'll definitely bring it back sometime soon, and then you guys, hopefully I'll have an actual like big island with things on it that y'all can come visit, and we could just hang out and stream and like joke around and play. I will be back Saturday. I'll be back Saturday with the collab with Demon Fighters where we're going to do crowd control Stardew Valley. So if that is something that interests you, definitely pop back in Saturday. I don't know if did Fighters tell me time? 6 p.m. CST. What is that? Is that 8 o'clock my time, I think? CST to EST. I think they're 2 hours. No, 1 hour. Okay, so 7 p.m. EST, which is perfect. So I think Saturday's just gonna be a long stream for me. 7 your time. Yeah, thank you, Smokey. Thank you. I think that Saturday is just gonna be a super long stream for me. I definitely think we'll still go live at 2 o'clock. If we do 7 o'clock my time, that means community night is canceled. Community night is canceled, or we could just move it to Friday. I'll put it up in the Discord to see if anybody's free Friday that we just want to move it. And then we could play more Final Fantasy 14 together. But I will be going live Saturday at 2 p.m. EST, where we'll be doing some Kingdom Hearts. Hopefully we'll be beating the feet % run. I definitely have to grind a little bit more off stream because it was kicking my ass last time. So we'll be live 2 p.m. EST with Kingdom Hearts, and then at 7 p.m. EST, we are going to be doing crowd control Stardew Valley with fighters. I might take like a little break in between, so it might be like either a super long stream or we do a double stream that day. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But definitely 2 p.m. EST will be going live for Kingdom Hearts. I need to beat the feet % run. I need to finish that up so I can get that all edited and put out on YouTube. Which, speaking of YouTube, we put part 5 out on Sunday of the feet % run. If you are new here and you don't know what I'm talking about, I literally, where's my controller? My controller, here. I literally take this controller, I tape it to the floor, and I use my toes to control the controller. And we've gotten all the way through the game up until Final Rest. And then Final Rest decided to say, nah, bitch, you shall not pass. So we had to stop, and we have to grind a little bit off stream because I don't do grinding on stream. So yeah. I want to finish that up Saturday. That would be really, really nice, especially if we have 5 hours to do so. I think we'll be able to beat it. Because I want to move on to a new Kingdom Hearts challenge. Either a randomizer boss bingo, the Nuzlocke. I don't know what we're gonna do. We'll figure something out. But yeah, Saturday. That's when I'll be live again. We are going to find somebody to raid out to, so please don't go anywhere. Please stick around for the raid. I need to figure out where we are going. Let me see. Who is live? You know what? I need to head over here anyways. So we're gonna send the love to another wonderful community member. I absolutely adore him. He's one of my best friends. We are gonna be sending the raid over to Madden9i. Y'all know him. Y'all love him. He's fantastic. One of my favorite people in the world. He is playing some Legend of Dragoon. So if you were an RPG lover, stick around for the raid. Akina, so nice to meet you too. It was fantastic having you in here. And I hope to see you again sometime soon. So we do have a raid message if you are subbed and not subbed to the channel. If you want to copy and paste that, put it in Madden's chat. Let's give him a little bit of love tonight. He absolutely deserves it. He's fantastic. One of my favorite people. Let me go ahead and pull up his stream actually. That would be smart. There is also the link to the Discord if you would like to come in and hang out with us. We talked earlier about starting up a board game night. We might do that once a week. And then we also do Final Fantasy XIV community nights. So that would be a lot of fun if you want to come in and join us and hang out. But of course, it's not required. It's just a little extra option. We got some cool people in that Discord. And there's also my link to all my other socials. So, I love you guys. I will see you all on Saturday. Go show Madden some love. Bye!